Welcome to the Salt and Light Lab, where we experiment with what it looks like to follow Jesus in a world that's not always sure what to do with us. I'm Michael Whitworth, and here's the deal. Every episode, we're going to dig into Scripture, name the tension we're actually living in, and then run some experiments. Not theoretical stuff, but real, Tuesday afternoon, what do I actually do with this kind of stuff? Because here's what I believe. Jesus didn't call us to escape the world. He called us to be salt and light in it. And that's harder than it sounds, and way more interesting. So let's get after it. All right, we're starting in Romans chapter 12, and if you've been in church for more than 15 minutes, you've probably heard verse 2. But stay with me, because I think we domesticate this verse. We make it safe, and it's not safe. Paul writes, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." Now, here's the thing about that word conformed. In Greek, it's syschematizo. Say that 3 times fast. It means to be shaped according to a pattern or mold, like when you pour Jell-O into one of those weird bundt molds your grandma has. You don't really decide what shape the Jell-O takes. The mold decides. And Paul's saying there is a mold out there. There's a pattern, and if you're not paying attention, you'll get poured right into it without even noticing. But then he offers the alternative, transformation. Different word, metamorpheo. It's where we get metamorphosis. It's the word for a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. Inside-out change. Not just behavior modification, but a total rewiring of how you see and think and feel. And how does that happen? By the renewal of your mind. Which raises a question we don't ask often enough. What is currently shaping your mind? Let's talk about the tension. Okay, here's where we get honest. If you're between the ages of 13 and 25, you spend somewhere between 4 and 9 hours a day on screens. And a big chunk of that is social media. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, X, Snapchat, pick your poison. Now, I'm not here to tell you social media is evil. It's not. It's a tool. I use it. You use it. Jesus would probably have thoughts about how we use it. But that's not the same as saying delete all your apps and go live in a cave. Here's the tension, though. These platforms are not neutral. They're not just a way to connect with friends or watch funny videos. They are, and this is not conspiracy theory stuff, this is just how the business model works, they are designed to form you. Every app on your phone is competing for one thing. Your attention. Because attention equals engagement, and engagement equals ad revenue. So the algorithm learns what makes you stop scrolling, what makes you angry, what makes you anxious, what makes you compare yourself to someone else, and then it feeds you more of that. Not because it's evil, it doesn't have intentions, but because that's what keeps you on the platform. And here's the thing. Formation doesn't ask your permission. You don't get a pop-up notification that says, "Hey, your sense of self-worth is now being shaped by how many likes you get on that post. Accept or decline." It just happens. Drip by drip, scroll by scroll. You start to believe that your value is measured in engagement, that everyone else's life is better than yours, that outrage is the appropriate response to everything, that you should have an opinion, a strong opinion, on every single thing that happens in the world, and you should share it immediately. That's the mold. That's the schema Paul is warning about. And the really tricky part? It feels like freedom. It feels like you're just entertaining yourself, expressing yourself, connecting with people. But slowly, subtly, the algorithm is discipling you. It's forming your desires, your attention span, your sense of what matters. So here's the question. If your mind is being renewed by something, what is it? Because something is always forming you. The only question is whether you're choosing it. All right, lab time. Let's run some experiments. I'm going to give you 3. You don't have to do all of them. Pick one. Try it for a week. See what happens. That's the whole point of a lab. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for data. We're paying attention to what happens when we try to live differently. Experiment number 1, the scroll audit. This one's simple but uncomfortable. For the next week, every time you pick up your phone to scroll, pause for 5 seconds and ask yourself 2 questions. Why am I picking this up? And how do I feel right now? That's it. You don't have to put the phone down. You're just collecting data on yourself. What you'll probably notice, a lot of the time, you're not picking up your phone because you want to. You're picking it up because you're bored, or anxious, or avoiding something, or just because your hand did it without asking your brain. And you'll notice how you feel afterward. Usually not better. This isn't about guilt, it's about awareness. Because formation that happens in the dark has way more power than formation you can see. Experiment number 2, the first and last. What's the first thing you look at in the morning? And the last thing you look at before bed? For most of us, it's our phones. We wake up and immediately check notifications. We fall asleep scrolling, which means the first and last things shaping our minds each day are whatever the algorithm decided to show us. Here's the experiment. For 1 week, bookend your days differently. First thing in the morning, before you check anything, read 1 psalm from the Bible. Just 1. It takes 2 minutes. And last thing at night, instead of scrolling, write down 1 thing you're grateful for from the day. You're not adding a huge spiritual discipline. You're just changing what gets first and last access to your brain. And you might be surprised how much that shifts things. Experiment number 3, the Sabbath scroll. Pick 1 day a week, maybe Sunday, maybe another day, and take a 24-hour break from social media. Not screens entirely, but the feed, the scroll, the algorithm. And here's the key. Pay attention to what happens in your brain. You'll probably feel twitchy at first. You might feel like you're missing something. That feeling? That's important data. That's showing you how much power these platforms have over your attention and your peace. Use that day to do things that form you in a different direction. Rest, conversation, being outside, being bored even. Boredom is actually really important. It's where creativity and prayer and self-awareness live. We've almost eliminated it from our lives, and that's not nothing. Okay, I want to give you a takeaway, 1 thing to carry with you, and here it is. You are being formed by something. The only question is whether you're paying attention. Paul's call in Romans 12 isn't about trying harder. It's about letting yourself be transformed by something other than the default settings of your culture. And right now, in 2026, the default setting is the feed, the scroll, the algorithm that knows exactly how to hijack your attention and shape your desires. Being salt and light in this world doesn't mean logging off forever and pretending the internet doesn't exist. It means being awake. It means choosing your formation instead of just letting it happen to you. So this week, pick 1 of those experiments. Try it. Pay attention to what you learn about yourself. And remember, this is a lab. We're not going for perfect. We're going for faithful presence in a world that's trying to squeeze us into its mold. That's what it means to be in the world but not of it. Not escape, not withdrawal, just paying attention. And letting Jesus, not the algorithm, have the first and last word on who you're becoming. That's the Salt and Light Lab for this week. If this was helpful, share it with someone who needs it. And I'd love to hear how your experiments go. Hit me up on the socials. Yeah, I see the irony. Next week, we'll discuss how honesty gets complicated in a world that rewards spin, and what it looks like to follow Jesus without living as a carefully curated version of ourselves. I'm Michael Whitworth. Until then, stay salty.